And welcome back to Mimas with me, 54 Bear, where we're doing a somewhat less than brutal start now on Mimas. Yeah, I have plonked down this monstrosity in the middle of my base as a quick and dirty way of reducing the pressure in here and conserving the oxygen. This will serve the purpose of getting the pressure down to something that's a little safer, i.e. below 100. The walls, I believe, will blow out at 150. It might be 200, but either way, I want the pressure below 100. And whilst it's lowering the pressure, it's taking the oxygen out, which is increasing the percentage of CO2 and nitrogen. This is obviously not a proper fix, but it's a quick and dirty way of dealing with two issues. I still need to increase or get a regular supply of CO2 in here, and the reason why I placed this where I did was I wanted to make it as annoying for myself as possible while still being able to access the fridge, so that it will motivate me to expand the base. So I will probably expand into this square here and take it out 2 squares, like to the edge there and to the end. So it will make it a lot larger, or it will a bit more than double the floor area and the volume. So I will need to get this oxygen back into the base, and a quick and easy way of doing that is hook up the passive vent to the storage and whoosh, out it all comes. So, and I will probably get rid of this housing because this thing has an IC slot in it, and even though it only has 2 pins, as I've done before, and to be honest, as I thought I'd done this time, you can set the IC code to access things without using pins, using the batch naming method, which I will do. And this thing will become my base controller as well. So it will control the grow light, which basically reads angles from the sensor and does a manipulation with them. It will also control the digital valve, which will go here, which will take care of the base cooling, so I don't have to come in here and twiddle with this valve, although twiddling with valves is always fun. And I think when the filtration is not actually running, this thing will use less power than this thing. Power isn't really an issue at the moment, but every little bit helps, especially when it's your suit battery. And I may well expand that way as well, but my flower bed is here, so I didn't want to have a narrow walkway around, so hence expand the base that way and then that way. This little bit, I had thought of expanding another row. I'm not going to. Got plenty of water in here. This is going to last for quite a long while. I have water coming in from outside. Okay. Yabbering on so long I took the pressure down lower than I wanted to. But the CO2 percentage is now almost at 1. I will bump that up a little bit more by emptying out the waste tank. So once I get properly established, then I will add some more, or I will add a proper CO2 feed from this. But I still have to work on cooling down the CO2. This is my bulk supply of CO2. When I expand the base, I'm just going to drain this entire thing, and that will give me a lot more. I mean, there's 467 moles in here. If my understanding is correct, I'm looking at this like 1 square, 1 cube, 1 world grid. There are 6.85 moles in this 1 grid. So there are 9 cubes or grids in here, so the amount of CO2 in this room is probably 9 times 7, so 63-ish. So this room has about 60 moles in it. This has 460, so it will bump up the pressure quite nicely. But I don't want to do it right now because it will kind of, well, it wouldn't blow the walls out, but there's no need for it. So I'll leave it in there for the moment. And short term, I can always go out there, refill it, bring it back in if needs be. But before I do that, I would hope to have a proper resupply. Same with the nitrogen, because the nitrogen also is needed for the soybeans. Although I don't know if I'm actually growing any. Oh yeah, I am, a couple. And I've got the potato seeds. Started keeping my seeds in the fridge just to stop them blowing around, but I really need to get some cupboards in here. And I have some mushrooms. This is another way of generating CO2. And one of the reasons why I want to expand that way is this square here will have just walls. So it won't get much in the way of sunlight. I may have to put a sunscreen in front of it or a door or something just to keep them completely in the dark. And I will put a load of mushrooms in there. That will help generate it will, yes, reset brain, take 2. It will use oxygen to generate CO2. And the CO2 is at room temperature, so it will help provide something for this. Or something for the plants. So that's the plan there. I'm not going to plant the mushrooms yet. I need to get a bunch of supplies for this. But all of that has to wait because there are other problems that need to be solved. This is how the game works. Okay for food and stuff. By the way, I misstated in the last video. I indicated that 9% of a loaf of bread will restore you to full health. It was actually incorrect when I was reviewing the video after I uploaded it. I noticed I was already at 45%. So, yeah, it takes, I think, 14% to get you from 0 to 100. So a loaf of bread will last you 7 in-game days. Minor pipe shenanigans here on the water, or the steam storage, I should say. This had got up to over 30 megapascals. In fact, it was pushing 40 and I was getting a little nervous. So I just doubled the capacity by adding a couple more and a little bit of pipe mayhem. I should really go with a proper insulated water tank, and I will do at some point, but I had those in my hands and I thought, why not? So yeah, we've got 1700 moles of steam in here. It's very hot, and I have 177 litres in here, so I'm a bit less than half capacity. I could probably do with adding another liquid utility on there just to increase the capacity. But for the moment, we're okay. At least I believe so. At this temperature, we're not getting an awful lot in the way of condensation, so this value, or the amount of liquid in here, is not going to increase that much. At least until it cools down. Now, I've taken the radiators off because there are plans afoot to go with a steam generator, which is basically a Stirling that only processes steam. So I'm going to call it a steam engine. I like trains and stuff. Incidentally, there was an announcement on the dev blog today talking about the prototype Harvey, and they referred to it as a rail Harvey. And I thought, okay, well, maybe that's just like a typo, or I'm misinterpreting it. But one of the other comments, or one of the other dev notes, referred to it now generating an error if there is more than one. They're calling it a prototype Harvey. They're saying that if there's more than one prototype Harvey, it will generate an error. And I thought, okay, well, that's kind of weird. You wouldn't have one Harvey for an entire base, but if that Harvey moves on rails, you might. So, yes, very, very interesting to see what's going to happen there. Okay, there is an adage, I don't know who came up with it, but it was someone famous, I'm sure, and probably a long time ago. They said something to the words to the effect that perfection is the enemy of progress. And this is a prime example of that. I haven't actually done anything to this furnace since the last upload, but I keep coming back looking at it and trying to figure out ways of rejigging things and whatever. And a week has passed in game. At least I haven't actually counted, but I'm sure it's something like a week of game time has passed, and I don't have a working furnace. So yeah, it's time to poop or get off the pot. So what I've done is I have simplified this setup a little. So we have basically one feed pipe into the furnace, and it goes to this tank, and it goes to these pressure regulators, which will control the hotbox. And I'm just going to run it by throwing in ices, crushing them, burning them, getting it hot, and not really caring, as long as the pressure doesn't get too high. I should probably put a couple of consoles on it so I can monitor that, but I can get the same reading, at least pressure and temperature wise, from here, from this bit of pipe that sticks out. So this will get me back so that I can actually smelt stuff, because I am running out of resources. I've got lots of ores down here, but very few of them are actually usable or what I need. I need iron, and I don't have much. So I'm going to get this thing finished. The idea will be that it will spit out. I'll probably put railings around this square here so that they don't roll all over the place. I doubt that will work, because I think with Mimas' low gravity, the trajectory will probably lob it over the railing. So yeah, that'll be fun. I may end up directing this downwards and having a hole in the ground again. I really didn't like that because I kept falling in it, and I found the railings were kind of difficult to reach over. It made getting at stuff at the bottom tough. So yeah, I may end up going with a vending machine to hold the degassed ores. Not certain yet. Anyway, let's get this thing done so that I can finish or get some resources printed up. So there is nothing else I need to do in this one. I'm fairly certain the floor is welded. Yeah. Now, theoretically, I could do this just in walls, but the reality is the pressure in here is likely to get a little bit higher than I would like. Speaking of such things, I should probably put in a gas sensor. But, again, feature creep. It's something that plagued me my entire professional life in software development. Would always be striving to add new things to make it cooler and funkier and whatever, and frequently that was a bad move. Right, so I'm just going to slap in a couple of windows there just so I can see through it, get a nice view. Also, it's fun in games to see if you're having anything catching fire. Right, so the back pressure regulator we will want set at 110. This one we will set to, set to 100. So it will take a while to get the furnace fully up and running. Now I don't know if I have any plastic or glass. I'm fairly certain I had some plastic laying around. One. Alright, so let's get another one of those. And want some glass too. You have to take the long way around because it is a much bigger furnace block than before. Alright, so that sealed that off. Obviously I've got no gas in that tank right now. It is completely devoid of anything. Now where's the sun? Even though the sun is weedy, it will still impact any ice is held in the hand unless you stand in the shade. Easy way of doing it, run in here, and well, I'm going to do all of that. So 9 and 18 will do. Do I have any more, or is that my entire supply? Ooh, definitely need to go mining. Right, let's change the batteries while we're here. All right. Now all I need to do is, all I really want to do is smelt the gold. I don't have any iron ores to smelt. So this is probably a little bit premature. So I'm going to stop it here. I'm going to go do a mining thing. I'm going to come back and we'll get this thing running tickety-boo. Join me then, why don't you? See you in a bit. And we're back. Okay, did a bunch of mining, smelted some ores. I used this furnace because it was quick and easy. Just threw some ices in there, crushed them up, and set fire to them. So that's good. We have drained it. So let's see, how much gas do we have? Not an awful lot. 7 mega, not only, but also. Yes, 7 megapack. They're not my teeth, I'm breaking them in for the dog. 7.6 megapascals, not an awful lot. We do have 40 odd moles of O2, so I could throw in 1 or 2 chunks of volatiles. That would burn that up, increase the temperature and pressure a little. But what I will probably do is just throw like 2 and 1 stacks of volatiles and oxide. On my mining, I didn't pick up much in the way of volatiles. I really wanted iron. So I made a bunch. Let's see, 150, 500. So yeah, 650 iron. And I did some steel as well, I think. Ah, there it is. Yeah. So now this is a little deficient. Apart from this gauge, I don't have anything to read the pressure and temperature inside the furnace. That might or might not be an issue. I do have the hot box filled, but unless I come around here and do the gas sensor thing on this pipe, I can't read it. So I could put a sensor in there and gauges and whatever, but a quick fix, not perfect, but it does work. Just grab an active vent, do the old wall hack thing so you can like place it inside. You can do this because I did it earlier. In fact, you know what? I shall place the pipe first. Right, Right, so I want a piece of pipe like that, and a piece of pipe like that. Now this might snap in a little easier now. And if I was one of those kind of people that streamed and had a camera, you could all have a chuckle at the angle my head is at, trying to figure out if I can get it past this furnace. The weird thing is, I did do it earlier, and it worked a treat, and I thought, you know what, I shall take it out and reinsert it just to show how easy it is. Damn it. I wonder if I can do it on this wall easier. Oh, well, placing it on the floor is easy. Maybe I should just do that. Now see if I can finagle some pipe into it. Actually, I'll just do it like that. I'll do it one bit lower than I had planned. That'll work. Right, so put a pipe like that. Now with this being insulated, it's all perfectly fine. There you go. Temperature and pressure at a glance. Of course, it only gives it in Kelvin, but to be honest, you know, once you get to this point of building things, you'll probably have a bit of an instinctive feel. A quick way of thinking of it is just subtract 300. That's not perfect. It's actually 273.15, I think, is the difference between Kelvin and Celsius. But yeah, if you think 300, that's fine. So that's at least 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Celsius. Blah. If you want Fahrenheit, I'm not your guy. Okay, so this is a very simple setup. It is completely isolated from that. These gases will get colder over time, unless I do anything to heat them up, because as you smelt, more gases are added. It will cool this. The pressure won't rise dramatically because new gases are coming in, but it cools, so the actual overall pressure remains relatively constant. Well, constant. It doesn't increase as much as you might think. If it all stayed at the hot temperature, then yes, it would, absolutely. Okay, so that gives me a working furnace back. To be honest, I should have done that before I started on all this, because I am nowhere closer to having this figured out. Now, the proviso with this is if I degas everything, then I don't have to worry about any of these 3 tanks becoming polluted. And the only thing that I'll be dealing with is whatever gases I'm using to heat it up. I'm not at this stage even convinced that I'm going to use this as a direct furnace feed. What I may do is just make that a supply of very hot gas, and instead of piping it into the furnace, I may just have a selection method which would allow me to, you know, on demand, connect it through a what do they call it? Oh, the heat exchanger. Yes, connect it through a heat exchanger to the waste pipe to heat it up. This should not get colder. With the hot box working and set at a reasonable pressure, you know, once the system has been up and running for a few minutes, it equalizes and the temperature in the hot box and the furnace is remarkably stable. And obviously the waste tank and all the pipes connected directly to it are insulated, so it shouldn't lose anything that way. The issue becomes when you want to make some of the advanced alloys, that require steel. I had thought that you could just chuck in some degassed iron and degassed coal, get the steel mixture, and then throw everything else in on top of that. The system does not recognize that. It actually requires a steel ingot. And when you throw an ingot in, it will cool the furnace down, which is, to be honest, the way it should be. If you throw in a degassed ore, it doesn't. I suspect that's a bug, and I suspect the devs will fix it at some point. But in the meantime, that's the process that we have to deal with. Paralysis liquids, well, I don't want them. Right, I did cool this guy down. I bought some mushrooms from him. Oh, he wants chocolate bars. CO2, that would be 100. That would be 120. I'm still not selling him any water, so he can go away. Right, and Paralysis liquids, 7 minutes. I'll check again later. I am going to level out part of this. This locker here will have to go. What I'm going to do is make this part of the base, and this will be my mushroom grow room. There'll be a solid roof over the top. I'll replace this window with a wall, and obviously there'll be a wall here, and I'll extend the base up to here and out to here. So I'll get an extra, what, 2 by, yeah, an extra 8. So it's almost going to double in size. Actually, it will, because that is 9. So yeah, there's 9 cubes in there. I'm going to add another 9 to it. So all of the oxygen that I had pulled out into the filtration unit will come back out. I'll also empty the CO2 container, and that should give me enough breathing room, or the plants enough breathing room, so that I can restock everything and get them growing again. And of course, now that I've got mushrooms, I will be able to use those to supplement the CO2 in here.
Power low.
That is the plan. Ultimately, I need to get the CO2 in here cooled down. It's still at probably 850 or 820. That needs to get cooled down. All of the attempts I've made so far have all been failures. Not in this playthrough or save, but in previous games and attempts. What I've tried doing is having a pipe come out. It connects to one of the medium radiators. It cools everything down. When it reaches the point where I want to stop cooling, I have either a manual or a digital valve controlled by code shut off, and then a volume pump or a back pressure regulator, and sometimes even a combination of both, try to evacuate the radiator. And every time I try that approach, no matter how many pumps and how short a pipe length I have, the pipes always freeze and burst. I can never seem to pump the pipes out fast enough. I don't know if it's something to do with the way that I'm doing it. I may try the same approach again, but I've heard it said that trying the same thing time after time and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. I don't think I'm insane, but I recognize the possibility that I might be. Anyway, that will all come in future episodes. Wasn't much of a thing this time. I still have not made a firm decision on the advanced furnace, whether I'm going to keep these and just add a remote control valve that will drain the yellow pipes into the waste tank, or whether I shall go back to the way I've done it before, rip out these 3 valves and replace them with turbo volume pumps so that I can pump stuff in and out of whichever tank I feel like. Don't know. We'll find out in the future. Join me if you will. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And let me know if you have any questions, comments, observations, criticisms, or even a good dad joke in the comments. I look forward to reading them. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. 54 Bear out.